Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Justin Young. He is Josh Tec. Hope everybody had a good Labor Day weekend. I know a lot of players from across the country certainly did, as we're starting to see the ripple effect now of official visit season as players are now making commitments to colleges. We're going to dive into it today here on the Commitment Catch-Up. A lot of players to go through. We've got 8 guys that we've singled out on their decisions. We're going to give you a little insight as to why we like them and what we think about them and what we feel like these players can do. Josh, you ready to dive into this list?
Absolutely. It's starting to pick up. So we're looking forward to this.
It is here. It is here. We're going to do this. I think it's going to be fast and furious, I think, for the next couple of months.
Yep.
And I think the first big domino, particularly in the South and particularly in what we know as the ACC now, really kind of tipped over the weekend. That's North Carolina guard Austin Swartz committed to Miami. And we knew when he was taking this visit down there to Miami, we did our Fast Break Friday pod, Josh, that we felt like this was a possibility that this could happen. What do you like about this commitment? And I know it's early. We still have a lot of other guys, but is this one of your favorite commitments as far as matches are concerned for the class of 2024?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it is one of my favorite. It is one of my favorite commitments. I think it's a really good marriage. What I like about it is how well Miami has used their guards in the past. You look at just their most recent success, right? I mean, they've made it to 2. I believe it was back-to-back Elite Eights, and that was dependent on guard play. That was all because of their guards. And what I love about Austin Swartz for Miami, if you're a Miami fan, prolific scorer. The guy can go get you a bucket. The guy's a great shooter. I believe he was like 3rd on the list of EYBL scorers, Con Knipple, someone else, and Austin Swartz, I believe. So that goes to show you, like, he's out there doing it each and every weekend. Like, that was like to be up on that high on that list is no joke. I mean, he's an awesome scorer. Really love this one for the Hurricanes. Really love this one for Austin Swartz. I think it's a really good marriage. And it was one that we both were kind of keeping an eye on, like you said. Yeah. You don't go down to Miami without, the beach life sticking in your head a little bit.
Well, I think he's got the pro life in his mindset, honestly. Like, I think Austin Swartz could be a face of college basketball, honestly. Like, I to your point, I love this marriage of both player and program because I think of the potential of the superstar that he could be there. Not only within the ACC play, but as far as like big game matchups, as far as March Madness is concerned, to your point, because he knows how to get that round ball through that round cylinder. And I really think that he's one of those players that's likable. I think he's marketable. I think he's a guy that if your girlfriend or your wife is watching, like, oh, who's this kid, right? Like, there's something about him that is unique that we've seen with other superstars that make you want to watch. And quite frankly, I think he's going to be an absolute superstar in college. I love it. I think it's one of the most important commitments. As we get closer to signing day, he'll probably be one of our 5, I would imagine, as of right now, probably one of the 5 best incoming freshmen into the ACC. Man, significant. Plus, when a school gets him on the first visit or in the first visits and they get him committed early, they want to get it done because they understand what a crucial piece he would be for the recruiting class going forward. So I don't know how much better we can say this, but superstar in the making, really, really great pickup for Miami. Yeah. And what a start to this first big weekend of visits moving forward. Let's move it down the line. Let's go to I don't even know what to call anything anymore. I almost call it Big 12 territory, and I guess they technically are right now with Oklahoma. Yeah. Like, geographically speaking, like, it's all out of whack now. Like, it's funny. Like, right before I went to California over the weekend, and it was the same day that Cal and Stanford and SMU joined the ACC, and I don't remember who tweeted it out, but it was like, it's no longer the Atlantic Coast Conference; it's the All Coast Conference.
Yeah, I saw that.
I thought was pretty good because it's very true. I'm like, man, holy cow. I don't know what the deal is with where we're at. But nevertheless, Oklahoma Sooners, they got a commitment from a guy that we really like a lot, a player that you particularly had a front row seat to on our Hoop Scene platform back in the day. Tell us about Kuol Atak and why. What do you think about him going to Oklahoma?
I mean, first of all, I guess it makes a lot of sense just because he's played his high school ball, his AAU ball in Texas. And Oklahoma's obviously just right up the street. Big fan of his game. I mean, really great scorer, really great shooter. He's like, I don't know, the 6'10", 6'11" range with legit size, mobility, skill, developable, just kind of across the board. Like, he's still one of those guys that looks like he's got plenty of room to grow as far as on the court and all of that. But right now his skill set is so advanced. I think what I like about this marriage is that Porter Moser has shown that he's willing to use his bigger guys out on the wing as shooting threats, scoring threats. You look at the Groves brothers that were just there. He used those guys out on the wing a lot. I think Kuol Atak can be in that cut from that same cloth.
Yeah, I mean, we've been really high on him. He's been inside of our top 100 for over 12 months, maybe 16, 18 months already, playing for 3D Empire, a program that we certainly love and respect. And we've seen them develop and cultivate players that are ready to play right away. Kuol Atak, I think his shooting ability, honestly, for his size at 6'8", 6'9", is unique. Very, very good. Still needs to get in the strength and conditioning program, which he certainly will at Oklahoma.
Right.
But I still don't know if the nation, particularly in recruiting circles, understands and appreciates what the player he is now, and moreover, the player that he can become. Mm-hmm. I think he's one of the best long-term guys that we have in the class. And I like the fact that Oklahoma said, okay, well, we want this guy. We want to lock him in here. The physicality of the game, I think, moving forward as Oklahoma moves to a new conference will be certainly interesting to watch, like how he can develop in that. But his shooting touch is a weapon. I mean, it really is. Like he's going to be one of the top 5 guys, I think, in the league if he gets significant minutes as a shooter, and going to be really, really tough to guard because of that length. Like, really impressive guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have that foundational skill set to where right now at this stage in your career, your best asset is your shooting at that size, then I think that's just like the rest will come eventually. The physicality, all of that will come with, weight room, nutrition, all of that stuff. So I think having that as your hallmark trait right now is really, really a step above the rest. Yeah,
no doubt about it. All right, so good on you, Oklahoma. Really good commitment with Kuol Atak. Let's see here. Let's dive into Cal basketball. Mark Madsen, his program there, they came all the way to Georgia, got themselves a dude. They got themselves a dog. Let me just say that. And Jeremiah Wilkinson. When I saw him, he's a cop. He's in your neck of the woods. He's in the county that you live in. You've seen him a ton. What kind of dog did they get in Jeremiah Wilkinson?
They got an athletic one. I mean, he is bouncy. Like, he plays on the same game elite team as CJ Brown, and it's always one of those like, oh, who do you think has more bounce? It's like if you're in the same bounce conversation with CJ Brown, maybe you have more, maybe you're right neck and neck with him. Like that's fantastic. Like this, he can soar up for dunks, block shots, whatever. Really good shooter, lefty, good defender. He's just an impactful point guard across the board. I think this is a really great one. He was originally committed to Mississippi State. Nice. Got decommitted. Now he's committed to Cal, and Cal's no stranger to getting guys from Georgia in the past. So I know that was different regimes, whatever, but they've come over to Georgia and had success with, Peach State guys in the past. So it looks like Jeremiah Wilkinson is going to continue that.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's going to be Jaylen Brown, but I do like the Cobb County connection there for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
What league is Cal in?
No, wait. Are they in the Big 12? Exactly. I don't know. I honestly have no idea.
Exactly. It's literally like one of those. I don't even know what's happening.
I'll learn eventually.
I think Cal was literally like in 3. They were in the Pac-12, obviously. During the time Jeremiah Wilkinson was being recruited by Cal, they were in the Pac-12, but rumored to be in multiple conferences. As a recruiting coach, God, that must have been so like infuriating. Like really make a pitch is like, oh well, man, can't wait to. You're gonna love when we play Stanford, and then you're like, oh wait a second, no, you're gonna love when we play Texas Tech. Oh wait, no, you're gonna love when we play NC State. You're like, I have no idea what league we're in anymore. That'd be really tough. I thought Jeremiah Wilkinson, honestly, from June, was the guy that I kept going back to watching on film. Like I want to watch him again. Yeah. He was tremendous. I thought he was really, really good in June. And I'd be curious to know if that's where Cal really started to dig their heels in and said, let's make him a guy that we've got to go after and procure and get him committed. So cool to see that one there. Tyler Johnson, a player that we also know really well down at Oak Ridge High School in Orlando, is off the board, headed to Virginia Tech. And if you know Mike Young's style play, Tyler Johnson, an interchangeable guy, a player that can switch between the 3 and the 4, can guard the 2, can rebound. I think if Mike Young has a type, Tyler Johnson's his type, no doubt about it.
Yeah, big time fan of him. He's just one of those guys that always produces, whether he's scoring, whether he's rebounding, whether he's defending. He's doing something to impact winning. Oak Ridge was probably the team of the weekend at one of the GBCA coaches camps. And a lot of that was because of Tyler Johnson. He was just repeatedly like, oh, Tyler Johnson had a great game. Tyler Johnson had a great game. Tyler Johnson had a great game. And it was because he was doing those different things. One game he'd be rebounding, one game he'd be scoring, one game he'd be defending. Like, he just does so much to impact winning. I really like this one. Really like him. I thought he was an underrated player for a while.
I have a term that I've used quite a bit over, I don't know, the last decade and a half is a sustainable recruit, right? As guys, not to say that Virginia Tech is a one and done factory. I think Virginia Tech does a pretty good job of landing players that are there for the duration or the majority of their 4-year college career. But Tyler Johnson, to me, feels like a really good sustainable recruit in the sense that he's going to level up his production year in and year out. I mean, even with Oak Ridge and even like the Florida Rebels, like, he fits a very specific role. But if you need him to go be the alpha male for a game or two, he'll be that guy and comfortable to do that. But if you need him to be like a stopper or a rebounder, if you're like getting killed on switches, like, he's going to be able to do that, step in and be that guy. Yeah. I like the versatility there too. And if you play like a fantasy basketball, like collegiate fantasy basketball, Tyler Johnson's one of those guys that'll get you, 8 points and 6 rebounds and 4 assists and 2 steals and 2 blocks, like one of those kind of guys, Yeah. Is there a fantasy college basketball? I don't even know.
I have no idea. This is gonna be a little bit of a side tangent. Have you played those grid games where it's like you have to guess all the players from the different categories or whatever?
No, that sounds way more complicated than my simple brain can handle.
I'll text you after this and see if you like it.
I probably will. I'm coming off a very good fantasy football weekend, my draft. So I feel like right now I'm like probably the GM of the year in any category. So I'd probably crush it.
Yeah, I guarantee you would.
Put me to the test. All right, let me throw something out here, Josh. I think I know one of the most significant commitments in the West. I think Cal Baptist. This might be the first time we've talked about Cal Baptist on this show.
Shout out.
Shout out Cal Baptist, because you landed a very significant player in big man Bradey Henige from here in the Phoenix area. 6'11". I'll give him 7 foot. I always give you an inch. If you're right there, I'll give you an inch.
No, well, hey, I'm so please, by all means.
Well, I think Bradey Henige to Cal Baptist is one of the most significant commitments of the West this year. I really do. He had a high major recruitment. He visited Nebraska. A lot of, the old Pac-12 schools looked at him. Remember, Mountain West schools looked at him. A lot of intrigue by a lot of schools. He was really good at Section 7, put up monster numbers in the high school season throughout his entire career. But he's big. He's tough. He can rebound. I mean, he can really rebound. Here's something that's interesting. I watched a lot of USA basketball in the World Cup. And the one thing that this team, we don't have great American rebounders anymore. We have a lot of skilled guys, but not a lot of guys that go after rebounds. And I like the fact that Bradey Henige could be that kind of guy in college, where he could be the guy that leads the conference in rebounds. He's not afraid to get physical. He knows how to go high, knows how to get the ball off the rim. I think this is a very significant player that we need to really talk more about in the West, and maybe even nationally. When we talk about non-Power 5 commitments, Bradey Henige is a super steal out of this class of 2024, and the type of player that helps you really contend for the postseason. So I really, really like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Let me throw this one to you. Not Bradey Henige, I just talked about him. Jaylen Cologne, a guy that you've seen a ton. Commitment for Alabama A&M. How big is that commitment for those guys?
It's huge, because Jaylen Cologne is an elite shooter. Like, he is one of the best shooters, and he's easily one of the best shooters in Georgia, one of the best shooters in the South. And he might be one of the best shooters in the country, flat out, in the 2024 class. He has an elite trait that's going to be able to see him the floor early. That saw him the floor early. He was playing as a freshman on the Kell High School teams with Scoot Henderson, and he was making impactful plays then. And then he helped lead them to their first ever state championship this past season with just his threat on the perimeter and all of that. So I think this one's a really great pickup for Alabama A&M. I think it's a bit of a steal, because you have someone that has an elite trait. He is elite at one thing, that's shooting. And I think having that is just something that everybody needs right now.
Yeah, I know he's got a lot of chapters of his story on hoopsing.com. I know that you've covered him really, really well. So if you're an Alabama A&M fan, you got to like this one as well. Georgia Southern. I think Georgia Southern's had a really sneaky good weekend, really good commitment.
Yeah.
The guy that we like a lot out of North Carolina, Langston Boyd. He was so good every time I've seen him play. Bob Gibbons, he was really good. I think all of our events kind of feel like they kind of run together. Maybe it was a Carolina Jam as well. But Langston Boyd, interchangeable guard, big guard. It was the GBCA camp.
Yeah. He was also at our the last time we had a North Carolina preview camp.
That's what it was. Yeah.
He was awesome there. That was like he was one of those guys who was like, oh, okay, I need to go find out more about what he's got going on. You know, he's just off the page there.
Yeah, it's the versatility. It's the competitiveness. He's got a winning resume. The guy, I hate the term gamer because it just is kind of like it's a little vague. But in my definition of that, like he wants the ball in his hands in those spotlight moments. He wants to be the alpha male on the floor. He wants to be the guy that creates a shot, to make a shot, to stop a shot, or whatever it may be. Langston Boyd, I think for Georgia Southern, this is a sneaky good one.
Yeah.
And Georgia Southern, when they've been good, they've always had a player like Langston Boyd, no matter who the coach is. I think if you are in Statesboro, if you follow that program down there off of I-16, that is something that you got to be pretty happy about. And I think Langston Boyd is a player that when you look at all conference potential, it's pretty high for them. And I think a really significant, I think one of the more significant commitments of this new regime down there at Georgia Southern. So hats off to them. We really like that commitment there.
Can I throw a question to you?
Yes.
Could you, in just the way basketball is going right now at the collegiate level, could you see Langston Boyd being an up transfer in time? Because I kind of do.
I think Langston Boyd could be one. I think Bradey Henige could be one. I think anybody now that is successful at the non-Power 5 level is probably a contender now.
Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of where I was like, he just imagining watching him play from all the times I have, I could just see him being an up transfer in time.
I think the key to that is how much time do they play right away as a freshman, right?
And for sure.
To really create enough film and to create enough confidence to say, like, maybe I can transfer up. I mean, listen, we do have a lot of guys that are still in the portal that never found a home that probably thought they could transfer up. So I'm curious to see if that number maintains or does it decrease and decline. I don't know, but certainly there are. I think there is a true section of guys that are making commitments to non-Power 5 schools that are legitimate contenders for that.
Yeah.
And I think part of it too is because of just like, and I hate to say this, but I feel like so many Power 5 conference coaches spend so much time on the shoe circuits that they overlook a lot of guys. I mean, we've seen that all the time with us, right? And the guys that play with us that are absolute just killers, and they just don't come and watch them like they used to.
In some regard, I even think that a lot of them just spend a lot of time at Nike because there are guys that I feel like have gone under the radar at some of the other circuits. We were kind of looking, you're like, oh, that guy seems like he's a little bit better than that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Kennesaw State got a guy like that, and Mekhi Turner.
Absolutely.
Talk about him. I've not seen him very much. You probably can speak more about him. What about him? What about Mekhi Turner that can help the Owls moving forward and Coach Petway?
I mean, I think it's just his impact around the basket. He's big, he's physical, he's athletic. He can really, you want to talk about a guy that can rebound. He can rebound. He can finish athletic plays at the rim. I just think he's going to be one of those guys that he's been maybe like under the radar, I guess could be the right term. But he could be one of those guys that really makes an impact in college. Like maybe this commitment doesn't jump off the page like some of these other ones that we've named. But I think, give it a year, give it 2 years, give it 3 years, however many years. I think Mekhi Turner is going to be a guy that really impacts winning at Kennesaw State. And he's going to be one of those guys that helps keep that tradition that they're establishing going, right? Like they just made the NCAA tournament. They were one of the darlings of the tournament. So I think this kind of player is what they made their success on. Yeah. I think he's going to be able to continue that tradition with the new staff, the new regime there.
You heard it from him, Josh Tec. Good insight there on Mekhi Turner. That's it for us this week on the commitment catch-up. We basically had like a week and a half we packed in there because of Labor Day weekend. I think these commitment catch-up pods will get bigger. A lot more guys to talk about here. A huge weekend ahead this week for Fast Break Friday. We'll have that podcast coming up tomorrow on Thursday on September 7th to get you ready for the busy weekend of visits that are going to be popping off all over the country. So, again, we'll kind of recap here. Austin Swartz, our commitment of the week, going to Miami. We absolutely love it. Kuol, Atak, one of our favorite guys that we've seen over the last several years, is headed to Oklahoma. Jeremiah Wilkinson to Cal. Tyler Johnson, Virginia Tech. Bradey Henige to Cal Baptist. Shout out Cal Baptist. First time showing here on the commitment catch-up. Jaylen Cologne, Alabama A&M. Langston Boyd, Georgia Southern. And Mekhi Turner to Kennesaw State. Josh, this was fun. We'll see you next week on the commitment catch-up.
Yep.